Hi, my name is Domanyu, but you can call me Protocol. In this tutorial, I will teach you how to use substitution method to solve simultaneous equation in two variables. Simultaneous equations in two variables are equations that contain two unknown variables such as x and y, in which both equations are solved simultaneously. That is, they are solved at the same time. The equations are solved at the same time to determine the value of each unknown variable. In substitution method, we manipulate one of the equations such that one variable is defined in terms of the other. Then, we take this new definition of one variable and substitute it for the same variable in the other equation. So let's look at the steps that we have to follow in order to use the substitution method to solve simultaneous equation. Step 1. Isolate a variable in one of the equations. That is, we make a variable the subject in one of the equations. Step 2. Substitute the isolated variable in the other equation. Step 3. This will result in an equation with one variable. Step 4. Solve the equation. Step 5. Substitute the solution from the step 4 into another equation to solve for the other variable. And the step 6, which is the last step, is to check the solution. So let's look at examples to see how we can apply the steps to solve simultaneous equations using the substitution method. So example 1. 2x plus y is equal to 5. This is my first equation. And we have x plus y, and this is equal to 3. And this is my second equation. So let's go to the step. The step 1 says that we should isolate a variable in one of the equations, or we make a variable the subject in one of the equations. Now, looking at these two equations, we have variable x in both equations, and we also have variable y in both equations. So this one depends on you. You take one of the equations and make a variable the subject in that equation. I am going to take equation 2 and make x the subject in that equation. So from equation 2, I have x to be equal to 3 minus y. So that is the first step. Let's go to step 2. Substitute the isolated variable in the other equation. So it is very simple. We have made x the subject in equation 2, and we have 3 minus y. So we are going to substitute the value, that is 3 minus y, which is the value for x, in equation 1. So it's very simple. Once you make the variable the subject in one of the equations, you substitute the value for that variable in the other equation. So because you're able to make x the subject in equation 2, you are going to substitute the value for x in the first equation. So let's continue with our work. So from equation 1, I have 2x What is x? X from equation 2 is 3 minus y plus y, and this will be equal to 5. So the step 3 says that this will result in an equation with one variable. So clearly we have one variable here, which is variable y. The step 4 says that we should solve the equation. To solve this equation, I have to open the bracket first. And if I do that, I'm going to have 6 minus 2y plus y is equal to 5. Solving this, I will have 6. So negative 2y plus y, I will have negative y. And this is equal to 5. So we are looking for the value for what? Y. So what do we do to isolate this 6 from the left hand side? Clearly, if you subtract this from this 6, we are going to get negative y at the left hand side, because 6 minus 6 is equal to 0. But because this is an equation, whatever I do to the left hand side, you are going to do the same thing to the right hand side, so that the equation will balance. So it means that we are subtracting 6 from both sides of the equation, or we are adding the additive inverse of 6 to both sides of the equation. So what is the additive inverse? Additive inverse of a number is any number that when added to a given number gives 0. That is a number and its opposite. So if I have 2 and I ask you to find its additive inverse, that is, I'm asking you to find a number that when I add it to 2, I'll get 0. And which number is that? Clearly, it's negative 2. Because 2 plus negative 2 is equal to 0. Therefore, the additive inverse of 2 is negative 2. And then the additive inverse of negative 2 is positive 2. So, it's the number and its opposite. So, if I have negative 3, and I ask you to find its additive inverse, what is the additive inverse of negative 3? Clearly, it's 3. Because negative 3 plus 3 is 0. And the additive inverse of 3 is negative 3. The last one, 1/4. 1/4. What will be its additive inverse? Clearly, it's negative 1/4. So that's what we are talking about. Let's proceed and continue with our work. So we are adding the additive inverse of 6 to both sides. So in doing that, the additive inverse of 6 is negative 6. So I have negative 6 plus 6 minus y is equal to negative 6 plus 5. So clearly, negative 6 plus 6 is equal to 0. Negative 6 plus 6 is equal to 0. So at the left hand side, I have negative y is equal to negative 6 plus 5 is negative 1. But we are not looking for negative y. We are looking for what? Positive y. We want only one y. It means that the coefficient of y should be what? 1. So you ask yourself, what will you do to this negative sign here, so that we have positive y? And that will lead us to something that we call the multiplicative inverse. What's the multiplicative inverse? Multiplicative inverse of any number is another number which, when multiplied by the original number, give the product as what? 1. That is a number and its reciprocal. So if I have 2/3, and I ask you to find its multiplicative inverse, I'm asking to find a number in which, when I multiply with 2/3, I will get what? 1. Clearly, that number is what? 3/2. So if you look at it carefully, you realize that 2/3 and its reciprocal are the multiplicative inverse of each other. What about 4/5? What is multiplicative inverse? We just flip the fraction. That is 5/4. So if I have 2 and I ask you to find its multiplicative inverse, what would that be? Every number is over 1, so 2 can be written as what? 2 divided by 1. And its multiplicative inverse will be 1/2. We just flip the fraction. So that's what we are talking about. So you take two numbers, when you multiply them, you get 1. Then those two numbers are the multiplicative inverses of each other. Okay, so let's continue with our work. So the coefficient of y here is -1. So you ask yourself, what will you do to that -1 to get what? 1. It means that we are looking for the multiplicative inverse of -1. And what would that number be? Is -1. Because -1 times -1 will leave a product to be what? 1. Therefore, we are going to multiply both sides of the equation with -1. So it means that if I multiply both sides of the equation by -1, I will have y to be equal to 1. Therefore, the value for y is equal to +1. The step 5 says that substitute the solution from step 4 into another equation to solve for the other variable. Okay, so let's go to the equation that was given to us. We have 2x plus y is equal to 5 and x plus y is equal to 3. That are the equations that was given to us originally. Okay, so looking at this equation, you are going to substitute the value for what? Y into this equation. You can even use this equation that we got from equation 2. Any of them is going to give you the same result. So pick one of the equations and substitute the value for y in that equation to get the x value. I am going to take equation 2. So it means that in place of y, what will I put there? 1. That's good. So from equation 2, I have x plus y. What is y? Y is 1. And this is equal to 3. So what do we do? I have to add the additive inverse of what? +1 to both sides of the equation. So it means that I'll be having x plus 1 minus 1 is equal to 3 minus 1. Clearly, 1 minus 1 leaves 0. So at the left hand side, I have x, and at the right hand side, I have what? 2. Therefore, the value for x is 2, and the value for y is equal to what? 1. The step 6 says that we should check the solution. So let's go and check the solution to find out if our answers are correct. So from equation 1, x is 2. So in place of x, I'll put 2 there. And in place of y, I'll put what? 1 there. So let's check and see if you are going to get 5. So we have 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. and 4 plus 1 is what? 5. So the equation 1 work. Let's check it for equation 2 too. So in the equation 2 we have x plus y is equal to 3. So x is 2 and y is what? 1. So 2 plus 1, the result is what? 3. Therefore, our answers are correct. Let's go and try another example. Okay, so example 2. We have x plus 3y is equal to 6. This is equation 1. And we also have 2x plus 8y, and this is equal to negative 12. This is equation 2. Please pause this video and try this work on your own before you come and have a look at the solution. In fact, that is the best way to study mathematics. Okay, so let's go and look at the steps. Step 1. Isolate a variable in one of the equations. That is, we make a variable the subject in one of the equations. So this one depends on you. I am going to take equation 1 and make as the subject in that equation. So from equation 1, x is equal to 6 minus 3y. So that's the end of first step. The second step says that we have to substitute the isolated variable in the other equation. So once we are able to make x the subject in the first equation, it means that we are going to substitute the value for x, which is 6 minus 3y, into equation 2. So in place of x in equation 2, we are going to put 6 minus 3y there. That's very good, because we are able to make x the subject in equation 1. So we are going to substitute its value into equation 2. So from equation 2, I have 2. What is my x? My x from equation 1 is 6 minus 3y plus 8y, and this is equal to negative 12. Okay, the step 3 says that this will result in an equation with one variable. So we have only one variable here, that is variable y. Okay, step 4, we have to solve the equation. To solve this equation, let me open the bracket first. If I do that, I'll be having 12 minus 6y plus 8y, and this will be equal to negative 12. So let's proceed. So we have 12. Now negative 6y plus 8y, what do we have? We have positive 2y, and this will be equal to negative 12. So what do we do here? We have to add the multiplicative, we have to add the additive inverse of 12 to both sides of the equation. So in doing that, we are going to have, we are adding the additive inverse of what? 12 to both sides of the equation. So if you do that, you are going to have 12, because the additive inverse of 12 is negative 12, to be 12 minus what? 12 plus 2y is equal to negative 12 minus 12. So clearly, this part will be 0. So I have 2y is equal to negative 24. Now, we are not looking for 2y, but we are looking for what? 1y, it means that the coefficients of y should be what? 1. So we have to multiply both sides of the equation with the multiplicative inverse of what? 2. And what is the multiplicative inverse of 2? It's 1/2. So in doing that, we have 1/2 times 2y is equal to 1/2 times negative 24. So at the left hand side, I have y to be equal to, and at the right hand side, I have negative 12. So that is the value for y. Let's go to step 5. Substitute the solution from step 4 into another equation to solve for the other variable. So y is negative 12. So let's look at the equations. So this one will depend on you. Pick one of the equations. So we have equation 1, equation 2, and this equation that we have gotten from equation 1. Pick any of them and substitute the value for y into those equations. I'm going to pick equation 1. So it means that in place of y here, I'll put negative 12 there. Okay, so let's proceed. So from equation 1, I have x plus 3y. What is my y? My y is negative 12. And this will be equal to what? 6. So I have x minus 36. This is equal to 6. So we have to add the additive inverse of negative 36 to both sides of the equation. And the additive inverse of negative 36 is positive 36. So if I do that, at the left hand side, I will have x will be equal to 6 plus 36. And my x will be equal to 42. So my x is equal to 42 and my y is equal to negative 12. The substitute says that if you check the solution, please do this one on your own and confirm the answer for yourself. Now let's go to another example. This example involves fraction. So let's go straight to the way. So we have 3/4 a plus 2/3 b. This is equal to 5. This is my first equation. And we also have 5/3 b minus 3/2 a, and this is equal to negative 1. This is my second equation. Please, as usual, pause this video and try this work on your own before you come and have a look at the solution. Okay, so let's begin. Let's begin to solve this work. Step 1 says that we should isolate a variable in one of the equations, or we should make a variable the subject in one of the equations. Now, but before we do this kind of work, if you have an equation that involves fraction, the first thing you have to do to make the work easier for you is to look for the LCD. That's the least common denominator. Least common denominator. That is, you're going to look for the denominators of the fraction and see what is the least number that the denominators will divide exactly. So taking the equation 1 for instance, we can see that the denominators are 4 and what? 3. Okay? Are 4 and 3. So ask yourself, what is the least number that 4 and 3 will divide exactly? So that is what we are talking about. If you get that number, we are going to use that number to multiply each of the term. If you do that, you are going to clear the fraction. Okay, so that's why we are doing that. We do that to clear the fraction, to make the fraction linear, in order to make our work easier for us. So taking the equation 1, what will be the LCD? The least number that the 4 and 2 will go is, will divide exactly. Clearly, is what? 12. So from equation 1, the LCD is what? 12. And we are saying that we are going to take the 12 and multiply it to each of the term. So let's do that. So from equation 1, we have 12 multiplying 3/4 A plus 12 multiplying 2/3 B, and this is equal to 12 multiplying 5. Okay, so clearly 4 divides itself 1 and 4 divides 12 3. So I will have 3 into bracket 3A plus also 3 divides itself 1 and divides 12 4. So I'll have 4 here. 4 outside, we have 2B, and 12 times 5 is 60. Now let's proceed. 3 times 3A is 9A plus 4 times 2B is 8B, and this is equal to 60. So this is my equation 1. So we are able to reduce the fraction to a linear form. So let's go and have a look at equation 2. So from equation 2, we have the denominator to be 3 and what? 2. And what will be the LCD? Clearly, the LCD is what? 6. So we are going to use the 6 to multiply each of the term. So let's do that. If you do that, you'll be able to clear the fraction. So let's go and do that. So we have 6 multiplying 5/3 B, 5/3 B, okay, minus 6 multiplying 3/2 A is equal to 6 multiplying -1. So what we are doing is that we use the LCD, which is 6, to multiply this term. We use to multiply this term. We also multiply this term. That's exactly what we are doing. So looking at this, you realize that 3 divides 1 and divides 6 2. So it means that I'll be having 2 outside the bracket. I have 5B inside, and also 2 divides 1 and divides 3 and divides 6 3. Okay, so we have minus 3 outside the bracket, 3A inside, and this will give us -6. So if I simplify further, I will have 10B minus 9A, and this will be equal to -6. So let me multiply each term by -1 to avoid too much negative in the equation. So if I do that, I'll be having -10B minus plus 9A is equal to 6, which is the same as 9A 9a minus 10b equals 6. So this is now my new equation 2. So it means that our equations now are from the equation 1. Our equation 1 now is 9a plus 8b. We have 9a plus 8b is equal to 60. This is my equation 1 now. And then I also have 9a minus 10b, and this is equal to 6. And this is my new equation 2. Good. So now we are able to reduce the fraction to a linear form. So it makes our work easier for us. So let's now go to the step. Let's now go to the step. The step 1 says that we have to isolate a variable in one of the equations. That is, we make a variable the subject in one of the equations. So this one to depend on you. Ask yourself, which of the equation will I take? And which of the variable will I make the subject? So I'm going to take equation 1. I'm going to take equation 1 and make b the subject in that equation. So from equation 1, I have 8b is equal to 60 minus 9a. So I have to multiply both sides of the equation by the multiplicative inverse of what? 8. And what would that be? That would be 1/8. So I'll be having that at the left hand side, I'll have b to be equal to 1/8 outside the bracket, 60 minus 9a. That is very good. So let's go to the second step. We have to substitute the isolated variable in the other equation. Okay, so we are able to make b the subject in equation 1. Therefore, we are going to substitute the value for b in equation what? 2. It means that any place we see b in equation 2, we are going to put 1/8 into bracket 60 minus 9a over there. So from equation 2, we have, let me look at the equation, 9a, okay, so we have 9a minus 10. And what's our b? Our b is now 1/8 into 60 minus 9a, okay, and this is equal to 6. Good. What is the LCD here? The LCD clearly is what? 8. So we are going to use the LCD to multiply each term to clear the fraction. And the LCD is what? 8. So we have 8 multiplying 9a minus 8 multiplying 10. And then we have 1/8 here inside the bracket. 60 minus 9a, and this will be equal to what? 8 times what? 6. That's very good. So 8 times 9a, what do we get? We are going to get 72a. And then clearly a divides of 1 and a divides of what? 1. So we are going to have minus 10 outside the bracket. We have 60 minus 9a inside, and 8 times 6, we are going to get 48. So let's proceed. So we have 72a minus 600 plus negative 10 times negative 9. I'll have plus 90a, and this will give us 48. That's very good. So that is the end of step 2. The step 3 says that this will result in an equation with one variable. So clearly the variable we have here is only variable what? A. Let's go to step 4. We have to solve the equation. So let's now group the like terms. We have 72a plus 90a minus 600 is equal to 48. So 72 plus 90, what do I get? I have 162. So 72a plus 90a, I'll have 162a minus 600, and this is going to give me 48. We need to add the additive inverse of what? Negative 600 to both sides, which means that at the left hand side I'll be having 162a equals, and at the right hand side I'll have 48 plus 600. I'll now have 162a equals 48 plus 600. That is 648. So in order to get the value for a, I need to multiply both sides of the equation by the multiplicative inverse of what? 162. And if I do that, at the left hand side I will have a to be equal to, at the right hand side I'll have what? 4. Therefore the value for a is equal to 4. Now let's go to the next step, step 5. Starting the solution from step 4. We have to substitute the solution from step 4 into another equation to solve for the other variable. So a is equal to what? 4. So a is equal to 4. So let's go to the equation. We have equation 1 as 9a plus 8b is equal to 60, and equation 2 as 9a minus 10b is equal to what? 6. So this one have to take the equation that you want to observe. I am going to take equation 1 and substitute the value for a into equation 1. So it means that in place of a in equation 1, I will put 4 there in order to solve for the value of what? B. Okay, so let's proceed. So it means that from equation 1, I will have 9a. Let me use the other marker. I have 9a. What is my a? My a is now 4. Okay, plus 8b, and this is equal to 60. This is equal to 60. So 9 times 4, what do we have? We have 36 plus 8b, and this will give me 60. So let me add the additive inverse of 36 to both sides. If I do that to both sides of the equation, if I do that, at the left hand side I'll have 8b is equal to 60 minus 36, because the additive inverse of 36 is negative 36. We have 8b is equal to 60 minus 36. What do we get? We get 24. So in order to get the value for b, I have to multiply both sides of the equation by the multiplicative inverse of what? 8. And that is 1/8. And if I do that, at the left hand side, I'll have b to be equal to, at the right hand side, I'll have 3 as my answer. Therefore, the value for A is equal to 4, and the value for B is equal to 3. The substitute says we should check the solution. Please do this one on your own and confirm the answer for yourself. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. In our next tutorial, we shall talk about more examples. My name still remains protocol. So my name still remains protocol. Thank you so much once again for watching this tutorial. Bye bye.